Hi, my name is Erin, and this is my Philosophy of Love, Sex, and Gender final project. So maybe you're a poll responder to the poll that I posted not too long ago and just want to see a little bit of the results. But if you're maybe even a little tiny bit interested in examining what love actually is, then I highly encourage you, in honor of Professor Gunn, to make yourself a hot cup of tea and join me through the ride. I'll also be discussing my own experiences with love, just a little bit, not enough to give my whole life story, but I'll be going a little bit into my own experiences with love and maybe how it influenced me to have the beliefs of love that I have now. But yeah, like I said, I'd love if you stay till the end, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I have my tea, and we have a lot to talk about. And I'm going to be answering a few really interesting questions about love. Like, is love governed by our rationality or our mind? Or is love governed by our emotions? Are we at the mercy of our hearts? Are the people we love a reflection of ourselves? This really piqued my interest, and I wanted to see what everybody else thought too. So I asked students from UC Merced their opinion of these series of questions and asked if they could also list their majors. I kind of had the assumption that STEM majors would have wildly different ideas about love than SHA majors, but I was actually kind of surprised. Before we reached the 24-hour mark, I received over 80 responses, so let's dive deep into what the poll said. So of the SHA majors, roughly 22% argued that love was governed by rationality, and about 77% argued that love is controlled by emotions. Of the natural science majors, 30% argued that love is controlled by rationality, and about 69% argued that it was emotions. Of the engineering majors, 17% argued that love is controlled by rationality, while 76% argued that love is controlled by emotions. Hi, this is Erin from the future as I'm editing this, and I realized that I didn't include the responses to the third question, which was, are the people we love a reflection of who we are? So putting all of the majors together for this question, 72.4% agreed with the statement. So 72% of people agree that the people we love are a reflection of the people we are, while 27.6% disagreed and said that there's no correlation with the people we love and the people we are as a whole. And I thought this was pretty interesting, but anyways, continuing on with the video. So definitely not what I expected. I expected that the STEM majors, the natural science and engineering majors, were going to say that it was more governed by our minds, but it seems that we're all in agreement that maybe love is governed by our emotions. But what even is love? I mean, I feel like we don't really think about it when we come into college or being so young. Love is just a strong emotion? We'll get into that. So let's examine the way that we talk about love. I often notice that the word love is thrown around lightly, and I mean, many of us are barely beginning our real love lives in our first year of college, so what is it? And I mean, not the way that we express love. I mean, love can be expressed in many different ways, like our mom cutting us through after an argument, or your partner making your favorite cup of tea in the morning, but those are ways that we express love. It's not really love itself. So let's examine the way that we actually use the word day to day. There's romantic love as a noun and romantic love as a verb. When using love as a noun, we may say expressions such as, oh, she has a lot of love in her heart, or I have so much love for you. And when saying someone or you possess love, we typically mean that love is a strong feeling or emotion. But I argue that love requires action. Under this belief, it looks like love should be used as a verb. Love as a feeling on its own does not create loving romantic relationships. So what does it take to love someone? My beliefs align with a philosopher, Bell Hooks. Bell Hooks believes that love is this wonderful mix of care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, trust, as well as open and honest communication. Let me emphasize that by commitment, it is not a relationship commitment. I do agree, and I do see in the real world that people love each other without being in a relationship. This commitment is more about the nurturing of their emotional and mental well-being. It's not a commitment like relationship commitment to each other. Under this belief, love cannot exist with abuse. I will say this again, love cannot coexist with abuse. Abuse and neglect are the opposites of nurturance and care. In these instances, the abuser does not love the abused, so there is not a shared love between the two. But what about those situations when people can't leave because they love their abuser? When the requirements for love, care, affection, recognition, and so on is at a defect, we're not experiencing love. We are experiencing a more general emotional investment with them. Many people mix up cathexis and love. I mean, it can be hard to distinguish a strong emotional connection with something like love has. Since I believe love is a verb, I argue that loving is a choice. As mentioned, love requires care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, followed with open and honest communication. These requirements require something called autonomy, which in short means that no one can force us to carry out these requirements. We willingly choose to do them and carry out who we love by satisfying these requirements. So, for example, no one can force you to genuinely respect someone, and no one can make you genuinely hold affection for another person. Requirements like these are an internal understanding about your relationship with somebody else. Even in the hypothetical scenario that somebody's millionaire parents bribed you to carry out the listed requirements for their child, you may put on the act that you hold affection for them, but it's merely a theatric to receive a paycheck. It's no different than Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone playing romantic interest for a movie. They put on a show that they are in love by acting with the requirements, but it's not real. Not genuine. You may be wondering, Aaron, is this not evidence to show that emotions and other internal feelings play a role into who we love? And hey, you're right. Let me emphasize that I do not believe that love is some robotic equation of actions and attributes. Emotions do play a role into the people we care about or who we hold affection for, which are requirements for love that I listed, but they do not control who we love. They influence it. So let me say this again. Emotions do play a role, but they do not control who we love, but rather they influence who we may see capable of loving. I believe that rationality is what creates and fosters loving romantic attachments. Care and affection are only some of the requirements of what makes somebody love. Care and affection alone do not mean that people love each other. The rational choices we make to nurture the person we love is the rationality that governs us. If someone has an emotional, romantic connection with someone who often degrades them, that's not love. Their partner does not contribute to their growth. Their partner does not nurture them. Strong emotional connections happen, and sometimes they're really powerful, but it's important to separate obsession and cathexis with love. We don't choose who we have a cathexis for or who we have cathexis for. Sometimes cathexis will make us do crazy things in the name of love, but it's not love. Many of us associate love with passion and fireworks and adrenaline, but I argue that true, genuine love is more tranquil than that. Love brings internal peace as partners grow and heal together. This passion that we feel is exciting because it's associated with surprise, and it's often more prevalent in our earlier stages of getting to know a romantic partner. But if we're looking for a more long-term loving partnership, it requires a little more than just strong emotions. If you're like me, you love watching old affectionate couples in public. Maybe for you, you'll stare up to the ceiling and ask, oh, when will it be my turn? An article from the HuffPost interviewed multiple elderly couples whose marriages lasted decades. Many of the couples often talked about things separate from upkeeping passion and emotion. For example, a couple named George and Olive Ford have been together for over 65 years. And the most important piece of advice that they gave was to engage in open and honest communication through the relationship. This requirement is not emotion-based. It's based on our choice to engage in it. In summary, love is only fostered under certain requirements. Despite some requirements being emotional, this emotion alone is not grounds for love, but rather cathexis. To move beyond cathexis, we must recognize that there is some nurturing role we must play for our romantic partners and vice versa. And since these requirements are only valid when done willingly, done with autonomy, we have to have some sort of thought process to justify being loving to somebody. I believe love is controlled primarily by rationality. Though emotions do play a role, they merely influence it. They merely influence the rationality that carries us or inspires us to foster a sense of love between two people. Okay, so since love is created by the choices we make, if people seemingly make the wrong choices in the name of love, it shows who they are, right? So I think it's reasonable to say that not all people are the same as us. I mean, sometimes it's valuable to have somebody who is different so we can broaden our horizons. People have different types. Even in the media, there are different tropes of healthy relationships. For example, the black cat and golden retriever trope, or the extrovert and introvert, or maybe the couple that's just way weirdly too alike. But like I said, not everybody wants the same things. Not everybody wants a matching half. Everyone has preferences and everyone expresses interest in different personality traits. However, there are valid points to support the idea when personality traits affect people outside of the relationship. Say, in a hypothetical scenario, Ronnie and Percy are in a romantic relationship. Ronnie is openly feminist on her social media, and her contribution to feminist research is very commendable. However, Ronnie's friends hate Percy because he's openly misogynistic against women. One could argue that Ronnie is her own person, and you can't blame her for the words or actions that Percy does, but it may signify that she's not as passionate in her beliefs as she may put on. I believe the only definite thing that we can figure out from the relationships people have and the cathexes that they may experience is that they are a window to understanding what they tolerate from their romantic interests. So examining the people someone loves or holds cathexis for is not a guaranteed method to determine their true personality. Rather, it may be a window to understand the type of behavior they excuse or they tolerate. All in all, love, I believe, is primarily governed by our rationality, but does have a shared role with emotion. And the people we love are not always reflections of ourselves, but they are always a reflection of what we accept from our romantic interests. So yeah, that's kind of my experience with love. I mean, like I said, I do believe that rationality is the heavy like influence and dictator about who we love or what we love. I mean, emotions do play a strong part, like I said, but it's definitely not enough to create a loving, healthy relationships by just having strong emotions for somebody, you know? Like, it definitely takes a lot of effort and a lot of work, and I think that sometimes, like, we kind of forget about that. Like, love is not just the fireworks that we feel, it's also those hard conversations that we have with people. My camera died. But yeah, like I said, I think love is definitely it's definitely a responsibility of sorts. Like, there's no way that you could be able to have a healthy relationship without being able to provide the things that I listed. Like, if you're not willing to communicate with your partner, then I don't think you're ready for a relationship, period. And like, if you're not able to trust your partner, then maybe they aren't somebody that you should have a relationship with. I mean, I'm not trying to say that love can only occur between relationships, like relationships in the sense that we think about it, but I just mean like your like connection to them. But yeah, I don't think love has the environment to grow when there's no trust, no communication, no respect or care. And I think a lot of us tend to get excited at the idea of being loved, but a lot of us don't really think about what it means to love and what it requires of us, because I think a lot of us as like young people just get excited at the passion and the fireworks, but this requires a lot of surprise, and to a certain extent, like, we can only surprise our partners so much. Like, if our goal is a long-term like partnership or romantic like connection with somebody, then it requires a lot more than just like being affectionate. Like I said, it requires like being able to communicate with each other, being able to trust each other. And if you don't have that, then there is a lot of room for toxic traits to creep into like your relationship. Like say somebody's been cheated on numerous times, then if they don't heal that part of themselves that will allow them to trust a new partner, they might project a lot of their insecurities and fears onto their new relationship, which is really unhealthy. For Johnner and I, Johnner is my boyfriend, I think we definitely nailed every single thing on the head, and I never realized truly how liberating it is, how free it is to have these things fulfilled. Like having respect, trust, and open communication. Like we're so great on communication, and it really makes me feel good. It makes me not have to worry about anything, because it makes the relationship, the romantic connection that we have each other, something that frees me, not something that constrains me. I don't have to like worry about saying certain things, or what can I tell him, or what can I expect from him. And like we kind of just get it because we're open with each other and we have these like common interests with each other. But yeah, like I said, I never realized how liberating it is to be in a healthy relationship. Like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I can't do this because my girlfriend, or maybe like this is like, oh, my relationship's holding me back or something. Like, and it's like, if all of these things were fulfilled, then we wouldn't be having these issues. Like, can you really have the room to be affectionate for somebody if you're constantly feeling burdened by the things that they offer outside of love and affection? Does that make sense? I think there's a lot more that comes with loving somebody than just being able to hold somebody's hand or like kiss their cheek, or however you express your love, whatever love language that you have. Like loving requires hard work, and it requires an immense amount of like care, and I think that that's really important to consider, because yeah, we can't control like the strong emotions that we have for people, and maybe sometimes like the cathexis that we feel like can be a bit overbearing, but I wouldn't say that that's love, you know? I feel like that's borderline obsession. Like even if there was love present before, if they stop respecting you, if they stop trusting you, if like some requirement disappears, then it's not really love anymore. It's kind of just the obsession with what used to be or what could be. And I think that that's really unhealthy, and I think that that definitely can open up a lot of possibilities for abuse. And that's why I think it's really important that like we address that love is more than just that feeling, because that feeling can fade. And I'm sure with like the couples that I mentioned, like I believe it was George and Olive, I'm sure that there's periods in their relationship where they completely hated each other, but with like open and honest communication, you're able to work through these things and have a more lasting relationship with people. And I think that's definitely been my goal when looking for relationships in college. And I think that I definitely achieved that. And I'm really excited to see where that goes, because I feel like I'm definitely like on the right path. But anyways, thank you so much for watching me rant and ramble about love. So I hope this invites this conversation within your own like home, or within your own relationship, or whatever. Like I really do hope that this at least helps you understand what you should be expecting from your partner and what you should be providing as somebody as well. I think that's really important, and I think it's very like mature to think about these types of things. So I really wish you all the best, and I hope that you also get to experience the love that you want and the love that you deserve as well. So have a great rest of your summer. The semester is over, so thank God, but yes.